Ever since I read this scene that finally got animated, I've been patiently waiting to see it get animated because I want to be honest with you. Bakugou really shines in this episode. He shines so bright because you get to see everything that Horikoshi Sensei has been building up with his character since the very beginning. And I want to really just go over what this episode really shows for Bakugou's character. When we first introduced to him, he was a bratty, bully character that just picked on Izuku, and he was just vicious, mean. And then in Season 1, we know Izuku managed to, come out on top and win. And then it kind of made Bakugou realize, like, he isn't always going to be top dog, that there's other people around that can compete with him, have great quirks. He isn't the only super powerful individual. He may have been powerful in his class in middle school, but going to, UA, he realized that there's other people very much like him, people that have mastered their quirk. And it was a wake-up call for him back in Season 1. Season 2 comes around, and we get to see him and all his antics with Stain, and, we get to see kind of how he interacts with Izuku, and it was more of him realizing what he needs to do next, and he had all this build-up anger inside of him. Season 3 comes around, he gets captured, he gets taken, and, you have Shigaraki himself looking at Bakugou's like, hey, you look like you're a really angry individual. You're being shoved down by society. You look like a guy that, should join us. And Bakugou's like, no, you clearly don't know who I am. I am not a villain and all that. I just may look it. It's insulting, but I'm not. And ever since then, we saw Bakugou, he would never fall down that dark path and become a villain. He was just someone that had this very aggressive nature. People looked at him and they thought he would be a bad guy, but in reality, he still actually wants to be a hero in the truest of form. And then we kind of fast forward to the end of Season 3, he faces Izuku. He faces him in a fist fight, and they kind of settle a lot of their disputes, their anger with each other, and you have it to where, Bakugou and Izuku become official rivals. It's no longer, toxic. It's not a toxic rivalry. They truly are on equal footing. And you get to see all of this reflected in what happened in this latest episode, with Izuku and Bakugou confronting each other at the end of the episode. You get to see how Bakugou is like, hey, get out of my way and all that, but he's like, if you don't catch up, you're not going to be able to catch up. I'm moving so quickly. And it was a very healthy discussion, a rivalry between the two characters, showcasing how much they have changed since those early seasons. But it goes much further than that. You also have it to where Bakugou, at the start of the series, he was always about a guy, or always about his, motto, was like, I need to win. No matter the odds, if I'm facing 4 to 5 people, I want to be the guy that wins. He took this from All Might. He thought All Might was very cool because he could fight impossible odds surrounded by opponents and he would still come out on top. And that's what Bakugou wanted. And Izuku was someone that just wanted to save people. That's what Izuku was. So they both took something from All Might. And we see in this episode, he literally saves to win to save people, which is kind of, he took Izuku's motives and he incorporated it into himself along with his ability to win. And I appreciate this little detail. It really shows how much Bakugou has come from the very beginning. He has really changed as a character, and people really need to stop underestimating Bakugou. That is the big point of what this entire fight was about. Everyone of Class B was looking at Bakugou, and some even of Class A was looking at Bakugou like, oh, he has temper tantrum, he's someone that's aggressive, angry, he won't listen to people, he is not able to have teamwork with others, and he only cares about the win. He doesn't care about actually saving people. If this would have been Bakugou from Season 3, I would have agreed, but this isn't the Bakugou from Season 3. He is someone that's willing to, accept a helping hand. He's willing to, say, yeah, you could save me and I'll save you, and this isn't that stubborn Bakugou that wouldn't allow someone to save him. He will allow people to save him, but he'll return the favor, and it's just something so beautifully crafted into this episode, into this arc with Bakugou's character. It really goes to show the true quality of Horikoshi Sensei's writing, because you just see it on full display. Everything that was a problem with Bakugou really got corrected in a really proper way. He's changed gradually, and I do like how some of the members of, Class B was like, you've changed too quickly, which is not actually true. He has really taken a long time to change. I mean, we're on Season 5 episode 97, okay, 97 of My Hero Academia. That's a lot of episodes. It may not be the same in the grand scheme of things as One Piece, okay, but it doesn't change the fact 97 episodes is very long. I mean, think about it. Nowadays, people only get maybe a 12-episode series or a 24-episode series. So when you think about that, Bakugou being able to develop this much for 97 episodes is insane, especially when he isn't the full main character, Izuku is. So just, yeah, everything about this entire episode, it just shows how people were, giving Bakugou flack, not realizing how much he has changed. I love this. I love everything about this episode, and the animators that worked on this episode really wanted to showcase that. There was so many things, so many little nods with the animation and art that really just demonstrated the level of control Bakugou has gotten over himself, his quirk, and his, allies around him, and he was taking it very seriously. Like, everything about this match with Class A versus Class B, Bakugou's team, remember, this is basically like them in a real situation going up against villains. That's how you're supposed to depict this fight. You're supposed to depict it as if both sides are villains and one of them needs to win. And basically, you need to be fully serious. This may be a mock battle, but you still need to be serious. And that's what Bakugou was doing. He was taking it very seriously. He could easily get injured. He can easily die. Someone could die around him, and he doesn't want that to happen. So he took it very seriously. He's like, I want to completely have a shutout victory. I want 4-0. He was like saying, I will not accept any casualties. I will not accept any wounds and injuries or anything. I want us to fully do a clean sweep and win, which really is something that nails in Bakugou's character, how serious he is about the matter, and that he wasn't just messing around. He wasn't just depicting and looking at this as a mock battle against Class B. He was really trying to look at this as if he was going up against villains, which goes another step further. Another thing that I really love about this arc, and since I'm finally having time to talk about the My Hero Academia anime, basically, one of the things that people need to understand is that we're getting to see the nature of how our heroes, Class A, their quirks are exposed. People know about their quirks. This is something that people probably don't think about often, but you gotta think about this. A villain that's hiding in secret. Let's take an example, Overhaul, okay? Just Overhaul from, the previous season. Obviously, if Overhaul does his research, he might be able to figure out the top heroes as quirks, or at least the fundamentals. Even if you don't know, let's say, One for All, like what Izuku has and All Might had, you would be able to understand that All Might is super strong, super fast, can create wind pressure, etc. So you would know for a fact you need to figure out counters around this. You're able to plan accordingly to what type of abilities they have. Villains have this information. They have access to look at what heroes are actually capable of, and since, UA and Class A has been so much in the spotlight over the seasons, obviously their quirks are frontline and center. People kind of know what to expect from them, especially. And Class B has been mostly in the shadows, overshadowed by Class A, so their quirks are very mysterious. While you have someone like Bakugou, Jiro, and all them Zero, they're all, they're out in the open. People they know their quirks. They know what to expect. So they were planning around that the entire time. So this match is actually, you might say, unfair, but it really is fair, because when you're on the field against a villain, you're not going to have pleasantries. You're not going to have someone like, oh, because I know your quirk, I'm going to give you, a handicap. That's not how it's going to work. That's not how the real world works. So I appreciate everything about Class A as well, having their quirks known, and you see Class B really planning around it, because they need to get used to the fact that they're going to have opponents that know what they do. And so they need to be aware of that, their weaknesses. They're going to be aware of their weaknesses and strengths. And they really try to pry in on Bakugou's weaknesses and strengths, which that was something that Vlad talked about at the end of the episode. He's like, you did good. You looked at previous data and, you did everything accordingly what you should have done. But at the same time, you need to be very flexible. Just because you have the data on something doesn't mean that this data cannot change. And that's another thing that the, Class B needs to take into, a big perspective, is that it's not just heroes having to really deal with that, but villains are dealing with the information continuously changing as heroes evolve, or how they get stronger, they add in more sidekicks or whatever. They're going to have crazier abilities or different combos that, the villains have never seen before. So that's another thing to factor in, is that things are always changing. The data is changing, so you need to be very flexible. Yes, you can use some weaknesses and learn on what they can do and can't do, but you should also be able to change a plan on the fly, which we saw in the previous fights with Momo and all that. So yeah, just a good episode. This is a super good episode, as you can see. I'm really pumped about it because it's just like, I love what this fight really represents, because it also is very quick, too. It's literally a half of an episode. Like, think about this. The other fights of Class A versus Class B have been about 2 episodes long, but this episode was literally like half. Not even. Like, half an episode was dedicated to Bakugou's team, and they just flat out won. It just puts in perspective of how much of a shutdown it was in terms of time. So the next fight is looking to be very interesting as well, because, I mean, Izuku's going to be stepping up to the plate, and the question is how is he going to face his opponents? I mean, is it going to be as easy as a shutout as, like, someone like Bakugou, what he did, or is there going to be some struggles behind the scenes? Whatever may happen, I cannot wait to see it animated, and I love this episode. Easily the best episode of Season 5. I mean, last episode was insane, don't get me wrong. That art and animation, someone popped off. Someone loved those side characters from Class B. They really popped off and wanted to give that some excellent art and animation. But I'm a big fan of Bakugou, and I'm a big fan of what this entire episode represents. So, I'm a little bit biased in that regard, but, yeah, just good. It's just good. Season 5 is really starting to kick up into high gear with no breaks at all. But I guess I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.